Hello, Big Transit. Oh, you want to go to Head Start? That's the yellow bus. Yep, you're welcome too. Hello, Big Transit. Oh, you want to go to the doctor's office? That's the red courtesy van. Yep, my distinct pleasure. Hello, Big Transit. Hold on. Hello, Big Transit. Senior Center's Bowling Bash. Yep. That's the blue bus. Yep. And good luck, Pops. Hello. Hello, Big Transit. Oh, you want to go to work? Ah, that's the green bus. Hey, but it's not ours. No. I'll get you the number. Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Just hold on a second.
Filling transit needs through a hodgepodge of transportation systems rarely adds up to the most efficient and economical transit services. Gaps and redundancies can occur. Nor does a quantity of individual transit services guarantee that citizens won't be underserved. To fill the gaps, eliminate overlaps and duplication, and expand services without adding to the overall costs of transit services, community leaders are working together. They call this collaborative process transportation coordination. Coordination integrates the transit needs of individual groups with the larger community. Yes, transit agencies, human service agencies, jobs programs, and educational institutions are pooling resources to improve mobility through transportation coordination. Community service groups can be freed from transportation provision and focus on their specific mission, be it health, education, employment, or other basic quality of life issues and activities. Meanwhile, the transit agency does what it does best: plan and provide a seamless network of transportation services with some funding assistance from the human service agencies. Coordination can be limited to a single operation, such as sharing a maintenance facility, or it can be several county efforts that broker all transit services and operations. Such cooperation is especially important as government authority shifts from the federal to the state level. Coordination comes in a variety of packages. Local communities working with transportation providers determine the contents so that they can stretch their resources, contain costs, expand service, increase purchasing power, and improve efficiency. In Lee County, North Carolina, coordination means that elderly customers have reliable transportation to health care. In Austin, Texas, coordination has connected 27 communities to urban transportation through the use of a feeder system. And in Sweetwater County, Wyoming, coordination has reduced transit operating costs by more than 35%.
Government has always faced some challenges in terms of the use of its resources and having to meet the needs of citizens and having to do more with less.
As budgets get tighter, both on the Health and Human Services side and on the public transportation side, and the need continues to grow, there's really not going to be any choice but for everyone to create community transportation systems that take all of the available resources that are out there and find a way to meet the need.
We might be the trunk of the tree, for instance. We start at a person's home and we get them to the airport, we get them to the Amtrak station, we get them to the Greyhound station. those people branch off, they get them to America.
Each trip, no matter how long or short, begins with a single question. What's the best way to get there? For many modern travelers, the answer comes from a local travel agent. Someone who assists customers by matching their travel needs with the best transportation resources available. You can view your role in a coordinated system in much the same way. You are a travel agent to the community. You are a mobility manager, responsible for meeting and matching the transportation needs of your customers. You ensure that your community's entire transportation resources are being used effectively to help everyone get where they need to go when they want to go. Before you can assume the mobility manager role, before you can begin to draw on a community's total transportation resources to move people more efficiently, you need information about your community's transportation needs and the resources available to meet those needs. You need to assess all of the public and private organizations in your community that provide transit services. That's the first step towards successful coordination. The second and equally important step requires an identification of each department, each office, each ruling and regulation that can impact your coordination efforts, from state agencies, whether public service commissions or motor vehicle administrations, to federal mandates that can make the job of providing coordinated transportation more challenging. What does the Americans with Disabilities Act, requiring equal public transportation opportunities for persons with disabilities, mean to public transit? How do the Clean Air Act amendments, requiring new public transportation vehicles to meet stringent clean air mandates, affect smaller systems with limited funding? These are important questions to answer before going on to the third step. The third step requires selecting a suitable coordination approach that can bring all the disparate elements together into a coordinated system. While total coordination can assume many forms, many of the nation's most successful models of coordinated transportation incorporate one of three approaches. A single lead agency, usually a strong pre-existing provider that is already positioned to take a leading role in coordinating the community's transportation. A transportation brokerage, distinguished from a lead agency by being the sole point of passenger contact, yet not being a transportation operator or owner, relying instead on pooled resources. And the regional transit authority approach, where agencies are created, usually through state legislation, to meet an entire region's total public transportation requirements. Matching existing resources with expected transit needs can often suggest which coordination approach is right for your community. Prior to 1990, Lee County, North Carolina, a growing industrial community, had several large human service agencies providing limited transportation for their clients. There was no public bus system, only a few taxicabs, and many people were left without transportation.
In 1990, when we were doing our transportation development plan, we realized that in the future, without a consolidated transportation program, we would not be able to access funding to operate a transportation system without consolidating it. During the implementation process, the North Carolina Department of Transportation assisted us financially by providing 75% of the salary for a transportation coordinator, and the Lee County government helped us with the other 25%.
When we saw that Lee County was committed to the consolidation efforts in the human service transportation, we felt like it would be important for them to have a transportation coordinator position that would be able to perform all the duties required to pull all this off.
Local officials saw the need for a consolidated transportation system and began talking with existing human service providers. Most of the agencies wanted to get out of the transportation business and concentrate their resources elsewhere.
We saw the need for our growing elderly population to have a place to go and a way to get there. We saw the need to adapt our transportation vehicles to accommodate the handicapped.
However, the largest transit provider, the Lee County Senior Development Center, decided to remain in the business and immediately became the lead agency for the coordination effort. Today, only 4 years later, the Development Center transports employees to their jobs, delivers children to daycare, and transports the elderly and disabled to medical care.
Our system has only been in operation for about almost 2.5 years now. We hope to be able in the future to expand our operation. We have been able to increase our ridership because of the lower cost of the operation of the entire system. Previously, a contractor or one of our contractors now was only able to transport those individuals whom they could afford to transport on the limited money that they have. But now that we put it together, everyone is on equal footing, and we never like to say no.
One of the reasons that our system is such a success is that it does not cost any additional county dollars to operate it.
A clear definition of what each provider's potential role could be in a coordinated system can in turn help define an appropriate approach. The idea of a coordinated transportation system in Austin, Texas first came about in the mid-1970s, and between the planning and implementation phases, a number of human service agencies, because of the need to get clients to services, began providing transportation. Originally, the coordination effort was planned to be a direct service operation, but it was decided that a brokerage system that incorporated the human service agencies and partnerships with local governments was the best way to continue serving passengers. Today, the Capital Area Rural Transportation System, CARTS, covers 7,500 miles and delivers 350,000 rides every year.
We use human service agencies, county governments, partnerships with cities to accomplish what we call a community-based system with a regional approach. It allows each community to establish what they need and each human service agency to ensure that their clientele are served as they need them to be. But it allows us to put a regional approach to it by putting guidelines and specifications and equipment in place that allows it to be one system.
CARTS has been so easy for us to work with because they are already in place. They really embody almost everything that we're talking about trying to do. And so it sets an example for other people to follow.
When you think about all the aspects of what you do every day and you think about coordinating all of those things, it can overwhelm you. The brokerage system works here because it allows unaffiliated agencies to participate in one system. It makes it easy for them because I buy the vehicles, I tell them what the operating guidelines are. They determine the needs of their local communities because they're there. And it works because it allows them to do their job and not worry about where the money comes from and where it comes from next year because we do that. That's really the most effective part of the brokerage system. It allows a central unit to go out and find every nickel there is that has any relation to transportation.
Ensuring continued funding for a range of transit services is a tough challenge. In Sweetwater County, Wyoming, numerous local agencies provided transportation for their customers. Their model for coordination required an open examination of the service needed, the combined resources available, and the individual needs of the customers.
As a county commissioner, I think the biggest thing that we did was offer support, asking them to get together and coordinate, and that we were behind each agency to put together a program that would benefit the Sweetwater County residents. Cindy Johnson, who is our coordinating director, came in and suggested that maybe there would be a better way to provide more services to more people with the same amount of money if we just would band together and come up with some good ideas.
One of the reasons that we even started to take a look at this is because we would be in a child developmental center bus and we'd be following the senior bus for half a mile and we'd both turn off to the left. We're going, wow, we could do this together. There was 5 agencies who were doing individual transit. We formed a coalition, but we were still separate.
Sweetwater County has always given our senior center a lot of support. So when they started to form the Transit Authority, we decided to go make a change, try something new and different like they were promoting. We had a bus exclusively for our senior citizens that we dealt with on a day-to-day basis. Our biggest concern was that we would lose that one-on-one that we had available to us now if someone else took it over. They had also assured us that we would not lose anything that we'd already had, that it would in fact be better given time. So we decided to go ahead and move forward with it and try it.
If we can't serve the customer, then we're missing something. The customer needs a quality of life, and they're thinking about that. In the transit system, we have contracts, 30-day contracts. Someone could come to us and say, gee, we don't really like the way you're doing service, and terminate our contract with 30-day notice. And we could do the same with them. To make a transit authority work, there must be funding diversification. We have 28 different funding sources. That way, if we lost one contract, for instance, it wouldn't put us out of business. One of the things that I want to encourage is that if you have an idea, if you have something totally different from what everybody else is doing, I would encourage people to act on that. It took us 3 years to even form the Transit Authority, to even start rolling those buses from the time it was an idea until the time we were able to do it.
For Sweetwater County, Wyoming, the time and effort has paid off. Many agencies worked together. They discussed their needs. They pooled resources. They created a transit system that delivers quality service to their customers. They did it their way. Coordination provides an unlimited variety of options, depending on the needs of your own community. In fact, coordination is a continuum of activities, starting with simple data gathering, advancing to shared training and maintenance, building to central dispatching, and at the highest level, total coordination. Whether it's the designation of an existing system to serve as the area's lead agency, the establishment of a broker agency to allocate the pooled resources of transportation providers, or the creation of a separate authority to meet the region's entire transportation needs, every area, every locale faces a unique set of circumstances in meeting its community's transit requirements. You can select or modify one of the coordination approaches seen in this program to suit your needs. Remember, whichever approach you choose to pursue, an effectively coordinated transportation system can't happen without communication, cooperation, and long-term commitment. The benefits are worth the effort because through local coordination, you will lower costs and increase efficiency for transit providers, enhance service for the community as a whole, and maximize mobility for everyone. It all happens when you make mobility management a priority and make yourself part of the bigger picture.
When you get to Big Sandy, you want to check that big board to get that big schedule so you can take that big shuttle from Big Sandy to Big Timber. Ooh, gosh, I wish I was going with you. Well, anything else I can do for you today?